take you back to the first year. We were in a Porsche 997. I love the 997s, and Andy did too. And, we went through the first 2 tire test weekends. They went great. We made it to race week. And the first day of race week, we were in the upper section. Someone had spilled some fluids and no one knew about it, and it turned to ice, and I was going up the second run and I spun, hit sideways, and I just ran out of talent. I think probably a talented driver could have maybe saved it, maybe. But I hit the side of the mountain and that was it. I mean, it had wrecked the car beyond what we could repair in that week. And I was devastated because 2 months before that, my doctor kind of felt like I had a year to live if something didn't drastically change. Wow. So I was devastated. Like, God, I really felt like you called me up to this mountain. You brought me here for this. You brought me here to fail. And we still did Fan Fest. So they have Fan Fest. 35,000 people come through the streets downtown Colorado Springs. We still went. And Andy lent me his car at that time to put on display. And it was just incredible, the people that came out. And what I found is in my failure, it was almost a better ministry. I got to minister people. We all fail in life. It's just, how do we recuperate from that, right? How do we handle that? And does the failure define us, or does it refine us? And that's what I just kept telling people. We can allow it to define us, or we can allow it to refine us. And I refused to let it define me. And so I allowed it to refine me. And in that, in my heartbreak and everything else I was feeling, I found people that had heartbreak too. And then when you explain to them, like, it's just a car, and they'd ask, are you going to be back next year? I'm like, I don't know. I'm hoping, because that means the doctors were wrong, but you just don't know. And we were able to do tremendous amount of ministry. And I mean, we saw some people have some real conversions to Christ. We saw people who were broken and hopeless. We even had one man that came with his family of 6 kids. He shared with me in the middle of sharing for me. I stopped him. I said, hey, I feel like God's just speaking to me. I want to pray for you and just speak some things I think he's speaking to me. And I started doing that, and he was just sobbing and crying. And I said, listen, man, here's a song from my buddy Jeremy Reeves from Band Reeves. Why don't you go listen to this and then go to I Am Second and watch this film? I gave him a film to watch. About an hour later, my guys came up to me and they're like, hey, listen, there's this young man that's been waiting forever. He really needs to talk to you. I'm like, all right. So he came up and he said, hey, Pastor Don, my dad was here earlier. He was this guy. And I'm like, yeah, I remember him. And he's like, I need to tell you, you answered some prayers for me. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, my dad walked away from the faith. And he went back to the car. He made us all go back to the car. We listened to that song. And then he started watching that video, and he started crying while watching the video, the I Am Second film. And then he turned around to us, and he had tears in his eyes. And he said, kids, I need you to forgive me. He says, I brought you here tonight because this is the last thing I want to do with you guys before I killed myself tomorrow. But he says, I'm not going to do that anymore. I got hope, and I'm going to go get help, and I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to be a better dad. And that kid we both sat there and cried. And I'll tell you what, that made the crash worth it. That made the crash worth it.